No, you finna go to get started. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Life of a Champ podcast, episode number 99. Yes, I said 99. We are one away from 100. Very much looking forward to this podcast for sure. Give me 1 second. All right. First thing I want to say before I go ahead and actually get it started. Make sure you go ahead and follow me on TikTok, just Life of Champ podcast on TikTok. I post 3 videos every single day on there, at least Monday through Friday. So if you're interested in that, um, and you can't catch a full podcast, but you still want to get the good gems of the podcast, make sure you go ahead and tap in with the TikTok. Also, if you don't have TikTok, I also have the YouTube Shorts as well. Life of a Champ podcast. Obviously, you already know what time it is. Make sure you go ahead and leave a like on those as well. Other than that, the topic for today, fellas, episode number 99. This is working versus outworking, fellas, right? This is the motto of the podcast. So if you've never got to the end of a podcast, our motto is this. This is the motto, and this is how it's been. I want to say for maybe like 40 podcasts now or something like that. The podcast motto is this: fellas out here, we don't just work, we outwork. So make sure y'all working these motherfuckers every single day, right? That is the podcast motto. So I kind of wanted to make a podcast specifically meant to try to give you exactly what I mean by that, right? And I feel like a lot of people would just take that and they might misconstrue kind of the way that not misconstrue. They might misunderstand what I mean by that exactly. So definitely wanted to talk about that for sure. Like I said, if you're in here, make sure you go ahead and leave a comment. And what I will say though, right? 99 podcasts deep, and we still don't got that many supporters, but it's okay because this is a very, very humbling moment, right? This is going to be a moment that I look back and say, man, I remember those days. I miss those days, right? That's the way that I'm looking at it. So, also, one thing I want to mention as well, 99 Podcasts Deep, fellas. We are the most underrated podcast in the entire world, and it is just like that. There's no one that's going to be able to compete. 99 Podcasts Deep. It's all good, man. It's all good now. One thing I want to say with that as well is on TikTok, I just hit 400 followers on there, so make sure you go ahead and tap in with that for sure. Give me a follow for sure. Also, if you're checking in on Twitch, make sure you go ahead and let me know as well. I will try my best to keep up with the comments on Twitch as well. All right, so working versus outworking. We're gonna go ahead and start with working. Okay, everybody can put the work in, man. Everybody can put the work in, but even then, there's still people who do not put the work in, right? Everybody knows this, right? It is actually very, very sad, right? Or they do the most minimal amount of work and then say they're putting in the work. When in reality, you're not. You're truly not putting in the work that you need to, right? You're not even fulfilling the bare minimum. Most people are not filling the bare minimum. And when I say the bare minimum, this is kind of what I mean, right? The bare minimum is this. The bare minimum is going to the gym. Gym is the bare minimum. The absolute bare minimum. You can't even give yourself a round of applause for going to the gym, in my opinion, because this is something that I've done. This is the very, very bare minimum when it comes to putting in the work, right? Um, going to work, right? Going to work. You should get no round of applause for going to work because everybody should be going to work, right? So that is just working for me, fellas. So we'll just give you those two work examples. Also, something that you should be doing if you're not already doing is fulfilling your purpose in whatever way you know how. Um, that is also going to be the bare minimum of putting the work in, right? So that's kind of how I would like to lay down the foundation for today's podcast. When it comes to outworking now, outworking is an entirely different thing. It has honestly taken on a different meaning since I started saying it for sure. And also, I want to know your guys' take on working versus outworking as well. So if you could leave it in the comments, I would appreciate that for sure. So just to give you a few things that I kind of base off of the outworking mindset. The first thing is you need to raise your standards. So whatever your standards are, they must be raised, right? If you're hitting a point where you're plateauing in your life or there's not enough change happening within your life, um, then you're not working, right? You must raise your standards. Another thing, which is very, very important as well, you must raise the bare minimum, right? The bare minimum, like I mentioned, right, is going to be going to the gym. This is going to be fulfilling your purpose. This is going to be, just working, right? Raise the bare minimum. Maybe this could even apply to some of the habits that you do have, right? Or rather don't have, right? That would be, I would say, exceeding in outworking is putting in hours and hours into habits that most people do not have that would truly benefit their life, but they just would like to decide to go ahead and do something else that's not going to fulfill their life or not going to reap them any benefit truly, right? A lot of people do this. A lot of people do this. Most people do this. It's something that I truly do not understand. But yeah, you must raise your bare minimum on everything that you do, right? So let's just say your bare minimum is going to the gym 3 times a week, 2 times a week, right? You must raise the bare minimum on that. If you want to get better, if you truly set out for some specific goals when it comes to whatever you're trying to pursue, right? You must raise the bare minimum that you're doing each day, right? Or on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis. You must outwork, and in its simplest form. You must just outwork. So, like I said, a perfect example is this, right? You go into the gym 2 or 3 times a week. You must up that. I would say for a person who, let's just say, has a busy life, I would still say you should be going to the gym at least 4 or 5 times a week. That is that is the bare minimum in my opinion, right? Now here's the thing: I don't put in the bare minimum, right? I outwork. So what I do is I go 6 days a week, right? That is just outworking, right? One mindset that I have is, going 5 days a week. There's a lot of people that go to gym 5 days a week, and most people who are in great shape go at least 5 days a week, right? Now, when I step into the gym on the 6th day, I know exactly what I'm there for. I know exactly what I'm there for. I'm there to outwork, right? All those people who are chilling the next 2 days, or chilling the next day after they put in the 5th day, um, they're getting outworked by me. I go to the gym 6 days a week, so that 6th day I already know in my mind. Yeah, this is the day that I outwork people. So this is typically going to be a Saturday, and usually sometimes on Saturdays I truly don't feel like going into the gym, but I still do it because I know my competition isn't. I know I'm outworking, right? Yeah, it is just as simple as that, right? You must try to redefine exactly what outworking means to you. What do you recognize people are doing? What is putting in the work to you, right? Answer these questions and then figure out what can you do better than they're doing. What can you do better than most people are doing? And having that mindset about working, yeah, that's it. It is just as simple as that. KJ, appreciate you for stopping by as usual, man. Outworking is performing at a better stance, efficiently, and promise to dedicating to your craft and to sheer excellence. I say outworking is working on other things that you don't have to do. Exactly. Yeah, like I said, this is applying more. This is putting more effort and time into the things that, like I said, most people don't do rather. Um, like I said, selecting certain habits that you want to go ahead and pursue that most people do not do. Most people, and I think everybody can have the same idea when it comes to most people, right? Most people wake up, they go on their phone. Fine, whatever. Go ahead and do whatever you want to do, right? Right before they go to sleep, what do most people do? They go on their phone, right? That is plenty of time to go ahead and instill more productive habits in those moments that most people just don't do. They just don't do. And then they say, "Hey, I want to go ahead and pursue this habit," and then they never do it because they end up doing the same shit over again, right? It's not outworking. It's not. It's not. They don't have the right mentality. The right. They're on what I would say. They're on NPC time, and that's okay. But that's okay for y'all, but that's not okay for me over here, and that's not okay for mine over here, man. Come on now. But exceeding the expectation to fulfill their life. Exactly. We go to the gym 6 days a week. You already know what time it is, man. Putting in the work harder than anyone means you are taking their spot because no one is willing to put in the work and effort to do. Yeah, exactly. He's exactly right. He's exactly right. Most people are not willing to do that, right? And understand that there's going to be a lot of people who think taking a day off is a good thing. And to be honest with you, of course, there's going to be certain moments in time where taking a day off is absolutely necessary. But just know, in the back of your mind, I'm like I said, I'm not suggesting this like super super work heavy hustle culture. I'm talking about the mindset behind what you're doing, right? What is your intention? What is your true intention behind the work that you're putting in? And understand that there's going to be plenty of opportunity and plenty of room for other people to improve, and you must take that same opportunity that they didn't do or that they didn't choose to. So that is what I say when I say I work. Like I said, it's going to mean many many different things for sure. Um, but yeah, with outworking, you're basically just demanding more from yourself, right? Raising the standards, like I said, raising your bare minimum. Find out where your bare minimum is right now to get by, to have a semi-productive week, right? What are the things that you do, right? And think about it and say, hey, I must demand more for myself because my future self will thank me, right? Um, and when you have that mindset, right, you're already outworking because most people don't even think as far as tomorrow, quite frankly, right? So if you're already thinking ahead in those types of ways, right? The next 5 years, the next 10 years, the next 15 years, you would have worked. You would have outworked the competition by like 10 times just by doing certain things, raising your standards, like I had mentioned, and demanding more from yourself. Because there's a lot of people who just get by. They do enough just to get by, and that's not. If you're watching this podcast and you do just enough to get by, then you're not doing enough, quite frankly, right? And if you don't like that, and like I said, maybe this isn't the podcast for you. But if you want to be above average, this is definitely going to be the podcast for you. You must demand more from yourself. This is something that I've done. This is a mindset that I've had for a long time now. And what I will say is, I haven't always been the most productive person. I haven't always, and I'm not claiming to be the most productive person, right? But what I've always done is realized that my potential is so much greater than my current position, right? And everyone watching this should also kind of have that same type of mindset towards their potential, right? Are you doing everything that you know you could be doing to better yourself? Are you choosing all the habits that would benefit you, right? And most people would probably say no. I would say everybody should say no realistically. There's always going to be room for improvement. And figuring out what you can do, right? Making those 1% improvements it's going to go a long way. It's going to go a long way. You must believe that it is going to go a long way for sure. All right. Another thing with this, right? A lot of people are putting in work, right? And they're expecting different results. They're putting in this consistent amount of work and expecting extraordinary results when in reality you can never have that expectation because you're just not doing enough, right? You're not raising the standard. You're not raising the bare minimums. You cannot do the same shit every single day and expect, different results because that is the definition of insanity. If somebody's I'm sure many people watching this have heard that said before, but that is exactly what it is, right? There's a lot of people who try to bake a cake using the same ingredients and expect the cake to taste better than what it did last time. That's unrealistic expectations, right? Um, but yeah, you must realize you watching this podcast right now. Maybe there's something you can do that is going to be better. Just maybe one little thing you can do. Maybe it's also one thing that you shouldn't be doing, right? And I would say it's probably somewhere in the middle where you probably should stop doing a certain thing. You probably should start doing another thing, right? But yeah, like I said, that is going to be outworking is eventually over time adding more things and also taking away more things um, that are going to be holding you back, right? That are going to be limiting your potential, right? That is going to be stunting your growth, right? And you watching this podcast, like I said, you should be striving for more than just an average existence. And if you are, like I said, then these are going to be what I'm saying is actually going to have some meaning to you, right? And what I recognize with this podcast as well is not every person I'm talking to is going to have the same exact mindset, but just hearing that this can exist for some people is definitely going to give some type of improvement to their life for sure. So that is the ultimate goal. That is the ultimate goal. If I can make your life a little bit better, then I'm fulfilling my purpose, honestly. So with that being said, what do you feel must change? And make sure you go ahead and actively make that change for sure. Give me one second. Another question you must ask yourself, right? And this kind of goes back to what I had mentioned with, getting rid of some stuff, right? Understand that in order to get the life that you really want, right? The life that you will have in the future, right? You must make some type of sacrifice, right? You're not doing everything that you should be doing. Everybody knows that. You're not. Okay, so the only way to eventually get to the point where you're doing the things that you know you need to do all the way is by making the sacrifices. So this can look different for every single person. Like I said, maybe it's a certain activity that you choose to do, right? Maybe it's a certain habit that you've instilled within your mindset that you believe you cannot live without right now, right? Making those sacrifices is going to be absolutely necessary in this life, right? And I don't think people place enough emphasis on sacrifice, right? Sacrificing can also be it can be even in like the form of spending time with the people that you love to spend time with, right? Understand that there's going to be sacrifices that are going to be more than likely painful, but just because they're painful doesn't mean they're not necessary, right? And a lot of people are not willing to sacrifice certain things, right? Certain comforts that they have right now because it feels nice in the moment, but in reality, they're getting outworked, right? And just know that the people that are truly working, or outworking rather, are going to be the ones that are going to be super okay with making the sacrifices that they know they need to make for the life that they want to live. And just know that most people, like I said, most people just work, man. Most people just work. The ones that truly outwork, the ones who make the sacrifices, the ones who raise their standard of living, right? The ones who demand more from themselves are going to be the ones that actually truly achieve something worth having in this life. And like I said, I also do understand very, very thoroughly that most people do not want an extraordinary life. Or, half of the people, they say that they do. And when in reality, if you look at their actions and habits, it doesn't reflect that, right? You look at their mindset, it doesn't reflect that, right? So with that being said, understand that, like I said, if you want to be something great in this life, actually great, you're going to need to make the sacrifices. Now figure out what sacrifices you're willing to make, and I would say push it as far as you possibly can. But at the same time, learn to enjoy life as well. I'm not saying don't enjoy life. I'm not. Like I said, I know I'm sounding a little, um, kind of like restrictive in a type of way, right, or demanding in a type of way. But I'm just saying that for your best potential self, right? I'm not saying that there's not going to be, times where I don't go out and have a good time with my friends, right? I'm not saying that, right? But I'm saying compared to the people that, go out every single weekend, right? Me going out once every 2 months, every 3 months is not going to damage me in any type of way, because I recognize that there's going to be a lot of things that, most people are not willing to sacrifice that I've made this sacrifice for. And in turn, I can reward myself with those certain types of activities that most people would recognize as a hindrance, right? That's the way that I would say it best. Most people don't see it that way, but that's personally the way that I see it, right? There's going to be time and places where you're going to need to, have a good time, right? But like I said, you must figure out and make sacrifices, quite frankly. Make sacrifices in the present moment, and your life will be better in the future, right? And yeah, I think it's just as simple as that. Give me 1 second. Hold up. Man, hold up, man. Lights were pink, man. Ain't no way. All right. Getting back to it. Give me 1 second, man. Like I said, if you in here, I appreciate you for stopping by. Sadly, the people slacking, but it's okay because I ain't slacking. Come on now. You already know what time it is, man. All right. Give me 1 second. All right. KJ had a comment real quick. Always lock in and focus on your purpose and what you need to do. You want fun in the future. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, right? There's always going to be plenty of time. Whatever you're not willing to sacrifice, there's going to be plenty of time to go ahead and do that in the future. And if you put yourself in a position to win truly right now, there's always going to be time. There's always going to be time. And especially, you like I said, if you make the right sacrifices, calculated sacrifices right now, if you want to indulge within moments like that later on in the future, you're going to have that opportunity for sure. It literally is just as simple as that. Piss me off. Okay. All right. With that being said, if I could define, outworking a little bit more, right? This is going to be an elevated mindset mixed with calculated action and intention, right? This is kind of referring to the podcast that I had earlier this week. This is going to be a similar thing, almost like writing the script, right? Is having these instilled mindsets within yourself that put you in a position that is going to be better than most people, right? Like I discussed in the last podcast, it's going to be interesting to observe other people's points of views, and it's going to be interesting to observe certain mindsets that they go ahead and have for themselves. But what you must realize is, in order to outwork, you're going to need to have those mindsets that are going to, like I said, put you in a position to win. They're just going to put you in a position to win, right? Believing that you cannot lose, believing that the hard work that you're putting in right now is going to pay off for sure. Things like that for sure. Give me 1 second. Another thing with outworking, right? This is another thing that most people will never have the perception of, but this is something that I have the perception of when it comes to when I say outworking, right? This is going to be putting in the hours of self-reflection and analyzing yourself very, very closely, right? This is something that I've done for the last 5 years, and something that most people I recognize, through conversation and through, like I said, analyzing their actions and just being an observer of life, that most people do not have the time, nor do they make the time to go ahead and really have some self-reflection and truly evaluate the decisions that they're making and truly analyze just how their life is going and how they want it to be, right? They're so fixated on the moment and they're not very future focused. They're just so concerned with tomorrow or the weekend or the next vacation that they cannot for whatever reason. I won't say they can't do it, but they choose not to um, focus and emphasize on um, putting in the work, putting in the internal work that needs to be done. Right. There's a lot of external work that can be put in, but at the same time, the most progress is going to be made internally. Right. And I feel like a lot of people they just don't see it like that. They truly don't see it like that. But that is something that I would say I will never take for granted is me putting in the last 5 years of internal work that no one can truly see unless you have a conversation with me or if you ask me the right questions, right? Most people won't be able to see that certain side of me. I recognize that as well very thoroughly. But yeah, just know that if you're putting in the work internally, you're going to be able to manifest externally what that's going to look like, right? You got to make sure you're taking care of yourself as well, right? And also, like one of the last podcasts that I did, healing the traumas that we have, right? Everybody's going to have certain types of traumas, and um, I would say, well, how would I like to define that? Limiting positions that they started from, whether this is the family life or unexpected life events that happen to them, right? Everybody's coming from a different place, but you must recognize that you obviously need to give yourself time to heal, and that is also going to be putting in that hours of self reflection and truly caring for yourself, right? That is going to be one of the most important things when it comes to the ultimate self care that most people do not do, right? For whatever reason, they just they 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 numb themselves with the daily mundane tasks that exist, right? And obviously, those need to be done, but um, just like going on your phone and things like that, right? It's not going to put you in a position where you're actually thinking about what you need to think about, and that is something that I've been so thankful of is just finding true entertainment and um, true value in trying to develop myself and things like that. Give me 1 second. So that is something that like I said, I'll never take for granted, and something that like I recognize that most people just for whatever reason just don't do. They don't decide to do that. They don't decide to have that self reflection. And what I will say with that self reflection is you cannot see, you watching this right now, you're going to see a version of what that looks like, right? But I also had mentioned that most people will never see that. They'll never see that side of me because they'll never ask the right questions. But what I will say though is it is something indeed that is going to be able to be very, very clear and very, very apparent in the near future. A lot of people are going to be able to see the work that I put in. Right, I'm going to be making certain moves that most people wouldn't make, or I'm going to be avoiding more mistakes that a similar person in my position would make because they have not put in the internal work. The difference between me and somebody who also has 100 podcasts done, right? I've thought things out very, very thoroughly. I've put in the work when they were not putting in the work, when they were just relaxing and watching some random ass show on Netflix. I was putting in the work on myself. I've been putting the work in since I was 17, right? So there's things like that that can't be shown exactly in the current moment, but something that will be shown later, much later on for sure. And like I said, people do not put place enough value on that truly, right? Like I said, I'm going to be avoiding a lot more mistakes than most people, just because number one, I'm a great observer, and two, I put in the internal work that most people don't put in. That is going to be part of the outworking. So for you, for example, right? Are you putting in the internal work? Are you getting and healing over the traumas that you need to get over, right? Are you looking yourself in the face and saying, "What are my insufficiencies and how can I make this better? What is holding me back, right? Who are holding me back? What is holding me back? How do I get rid of that? How do I minimize the amount of time I'm spending with that certain thing or that certain person, right? Figure out those certain things, and now you're not going to be able to fix everything, right? This is something that I want to place a lot of emphasis on as well. Is you're not going to be able to fix everything. These things take time, a lot of time, and sometimes it takes people less time, and sometimes it takes people more time. But what you must realize is you need to give yourself that time. Um, like I said, it's going to be the downfall of many, right? There's going to be a lot of people who were thrown into the spotlight, right? That are very close in my age, right? That are thrown into the spotlight, and they're not going to make decisions or think things thoroughly through like I would have because they just didn't put in the time. They just didn't put in the time, man. They got lucky, right? And part of it is luck, let's be honest, right? Part of it is luck, but at the same time, maybe even positions that you want to get into, right? Maybe you're gonna see other people get into those positions a lot easier, or maybe putting in less work than you are. But just realize that they more than likely they're going to encounter a problem that they're not ready for. But if you're putting in that internal work, you're going to be preparing for moments like that. You're going to be able to put yourself in a mindset that they wish that they had, right? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're in time it is, man. Technically this would be me entering my fifth year. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Think about it. 17 is his own year. So with that being said, outworking is also going to look like putting in the internal work as well, which is probably one of the most important things you can do outside of putting in the work daily, right? Which is also very very important. Everything comes back down to the daily. This is something that I recognized as a constant pattern within all the hours I spent within my self development journey, is recognizing that outworking is not only putting in the internal work, it's also developing the mindset, and then also with cultivating those two things, also showing that in the real world, and putting in the work and whatever you're trying to pursue. And not only putting in the work, but outworking these motherfuckers every single day. It's as simple as that. So, like I said, if you're going to the gym, maybe you can go to the gym one day more, at least one day more. Maybe it's that one thing, or maybe let's just say you're going a lot to the gym, right? Maybe you can put in one more set, or maybe you can put in one more rep, right? Outwork, outwork those people who would be doing the same thing that you're doing. How do you outwork those certain people? Think of it like that. So outworking to me is many different things. Like I said, it's a mindset you need to have. It's putting in the internal work, and then it's also acting in accordance on a daily basis to outwork these motherfuckers truly. And now there's certain people that have only done a few of those things. Let's be for real here. There's going to be certain people who only put in the not the mental work, but the internal work, right? And they have nothing to they have nothing to show for it in the present moment, right? There's going to be certain people who outwork in another aspect in the real world, but have no internal work, right? And still holding on to those demons, when in reality, if they sat down with themselves and spent plenty of time with themselves and got over the things that they needed to get over, maybe they would even flourish even more. Or maybe they just don't have the mindset. They encounter something and it derails their entire progress. They were making great progress, but their mindset wasn't resilient enough to actually go ahead and handle those certain problems that might come up. There's things like that, right? So you need to make sure when you're out working these motherfuckers every single day, like I am, you have all three things checked, and you're doing it on a daily basis. Like I said, you're reaffirming, and every single time you do fall down, you get back up, and every single time you start thinking negative, you have the people around you, not only the people around you, but you also have the mindsets that you've instilled on a daily basis to come back to, right? That is going to bring you down back to earth. That is going to take you and your negative thoughts and throw it right in the trash because they know that's not helping your life, right? Doing all three of those things is going to be the definition of outworking, in my opinion, right? I'm not, like I said, I'm not one for hustle culture. I'm not saying work 18-hour days. If you feel like that's necessary for your life, go ahead and go crazy. But outworking is going to look very, very different for a lot of different people. But I'm just giving you exactly what my definition of outworking is. And like I said, it's a lot deeper than just putting the work in daily, for sure. So yeah, that is going to be that's the podcast for today, man. I appreciate everyone stopping by. Hopefully, if you're watching this, whether you're rewatching this or watching this live, I hope you took some value from this podcast, because this is definitely one that has definitely been on my mind that I do want to talk about, because it is not the motto for no reason, right? And yeah, it's just as simple as that. I'll go over a very very quick version of what I had just talked about. So if there's anybody new, I'll go ahead and give you a reminder of what I did mention for sure. We got a few people in here. Appreciate you guys stopping by. Anthony, it's all good, my man. Better late than never, man. But never late is better, man. Come on now. All right. So working versus outworking, fellas. That was the podcast topic for today. What that looks like to me is this: most people put the work in. Here's the thing. Let me go back. That's actually wrong. Most people don't even put in the minimum amount of work. Let's be honest. Let's be honest with ourselves. Most people don't put the minimum amount of work. So you got the people that put in less than work. Then you got the people that are working, and then you got the people that outwork. Right? Which one do you want to be? And also, more importantly, which one are you right now? Working is going to look a lot different for other people, but I would say the bare minimum is going to look something similar to this. Working to me is my definition of working is different for because my man, okay. Working is going to look like going to the gym. That is an absolute must, right? If you're a person watching this and you've been consistently watching and you for whatever reason don't go to the gym consistently, um, this is going to be another reminder on top of every single damn podcast that I've ever done to get in the gym, right? This is going to be a very, very essential part of your life if you do go ahead and take it serious, right? Um, yeah, and I feel like everybody should be taking this serious, and the fact that society doesn't take it serious enough is an absolute downfall of society. But with that being said, that is going to be one part of working. Also, this is going to be just putting in the work, actually going to work. That's another thing, right? Um, that is going to be part of working. Also, with working as well, this should be something that you do in some type of way or shape or form. This is going to be putting in work on your purpose, whatever that is for you. Making sure you manifest the visual representation of progress within your purpose, right? And now, if you're a little bit more undefined what that looks like, then you need to go ahead and ask yourself the question of what is your purpose, and start doing some internal work, right? If you are a person that is struggling with finding true purpose, it's because you haven't spent enough time with yourself. You haven't asked yourself the right questions, right? And things like that. With that being said, outworking is an entirely different thing. It is going to be doing all the things that a person does when he or she works, but this is going to be doing it in a better way. This is going to be raising your standards, raising the bare minimums on the things that you do, pushing for more than what you have right now, right? Demanding more from yourself on a daily basis. We outwork. Come on now, you already know what time it is, right? So outworking is going to look like this. In the gym, this is for me personally, right? This is not going to apply to everybody's situation. Not everybody can live this out because not everybody can outwork. But there's going to be a lot of people that go to gym 5 days a week. I go 6 days a week. When I get into the gym for the 6th day, I recognize that I'm outworking all the people that go 5 days. That gives me the extra. That gives me the extra motivation to say, "Oh, I'm glad I got in today because guess what? There's going to be people sitting on their ass right now not doing nothing while I'm putting in the work." Right? That is my mindset. That's always been my mindset. And shout out to Anthony, shout out to KJ, man. I know they outworking, so it's as simple as that. With that being said, not only putting work in the gym is, yeah, I went 7 days. What, like, come on now, you already know what time it is, man. She gotta say it for me. Also with this as well, right? This is putting in work on your purpose, right? And recognizing that there's people that are lacking purpose in general, but making sure you're doing even more work to fulfill your purpose, because your purpose is, as a man, you watching this should be your first thing that you focus on and should have the most emphasis on throughout your entire day. This should be something that you're thinking about almost nonstop, every single hour, pretty much. That's the way it should be, right? That is going to be part of outworking as well. Along with this is also going to be putting in whatever work you need to do outside of your purpose, or if you're fortunate enough to have that be the same thing, then this is even going extra hard because you're fortunate enough to be in a position where you can pursue your purpose and also work, right? Put in the work, right? Whatever that looks like to you. Like I said, this is going to look like demanding more from yourself, right? A lot of people are doing the same shit over and over again, and expecting different results, right? And that's obviously an unrealistic expectation to have on the work that you do, especially if the work you're doing is really not much at all, right? Um, yeah, it literally is just as simple as that. So ask yourself the question: what needs to change, right? What needs to change? Because you can't bake a cake. This is something that I mentioned earlier, right? You can't bake the cake with the same results, or with the same ingredients rather, and expect the same results, or different results rather. So like I said, what must change? Recognize and analyze your life, and always ask yourself that question. There's going to be plenty of opportunity to go ahead and improve in many different areas. Now, what can you really make a subtle change on that is going to make a difference within your life, and also, like I said, just result your life in a different area as well. With that being said, analyze the question of what is holding you back. Everybody has things that hold them back, whether this is habits or activities or people that they have around. There's going to be plenty of things that hold you back in this life. Now, with those things that you recognize that are holding you back, you must make the sacrifices, right? Sacrifices are absolutely essential in this life, right? Now, recognizing what's holding you back is one thing. Making the sacrifice is going to be something that happens very much later on in the self-reflection part of your life, right? There's a lot of things that I held on to, right? That I knew that were holding me back, but for whatever reason, I'm just like everybody else, right? I didn't make um, any changes, right? That's most people. Most people recognize that they're doing something eventually that they're doing wrong, and they don't do anything about it, right? I was the same exact way, but over time, with your self development journey, and like I said, putting in that internal work, you're going to recognize thoroughly that hey, in order to get to where I want to get to, I'm going to need to make certain sacrifices. Now, what sacrifices are you willing to make? How much are you willing to sacrifice for the life that you want? Right? Ask yourself these questions, man. Ask yourself these questions, man. All right. Like I said, outworking is seeing the work that an average person does, and seeing all the work that they're willing to put in and pursuing more than that. Of course, that is outworking in itself. And with that to be said, right? Like I said, this is going to be outworking in many different fronts of life. Outworking internally, outworking externally, and outworking in every aspect. In every aspect. Like I said, I want to reiterate this as well, right? I'm not one for hustle culture and things like that, but outworking is much more than just putting in the work, right? Outworking is getting your mindset right, like I mentioned, right? Getting your mindset right, whatever that looks like to you, right? Hopefully, I've given you some podcasts, and if you need any recommendations, tap in with the Undefeated Mindset podcast because that is going to give you that outworking mindset, right? Um, so yeah, putting in the work on your purpose, putting in the work at the gym, putting in the work at your actual work, and also having the mindset that's going to get you through any difficulty of life, right? That is ultimately going to give you the outworking mindset, right? Because this is much more than just an action that you do. This is a mindset that you have. This is the internal work that you put in that no one sees, right? This is the hours of work that you put in trying to heal traumas that are holding you back realistically, right? And this is something that I see all the time, right? I see a lot of people who they look like they're doing great on the outside. From an outside point of view, they look like they're doing great, but they could be doing so much better if they just took the time to heal what they needed to heal, truly, right? So if you're not outworking in all fronts, like I had mentioned, right, with the mindset, with the internal work, with going to the gym, with putting in the work and also working on your purpose, then you're going to be lacking in some type of way, and it's as simple as that, right? Obviously, it is a lot to focus on, and there's going to be a lot of sacrifices that are going to need to be made. But at the same time, these are going to be the absolute necessary things you need to do in order to live the life that you truly want to live, right? And recognize that there's going to be plenty of things that you feel like it's hard to sacrifice that certain thing, but recognize that there's going to be plenty of opportunity to do all the things that you want to do, whether they're degen activities or not, right? There's going to be plenty of opportunity to do those things, but recognize that you must outwork in the moment right now so you can reap the benefits of the work that you put in that nobody else did. That is what I have to say for sure. Give me 1 second. All right. Like I said, the last thing I want to say before I go and end it off, and this is going to be a little bit of a shorter one, fellas. Like I said, outworking is putting in the work that most don't put in, right? Put in the hours of self-reflection and evaluating yourself very, very closely to recognize and correct all the insufficiencies that you have, right? Everybody has insufficiencies, everybody has room for improvement, everybody has certain things that they know are holding them back. Now, what you do with all that knowledge is up to you. Some people just let it, constantly eat at them, right? This is something that happened to me for a while. And also, I made a clip about this yesterday, talking about how I've kicked my ass so much that there's no point in doing things that I know are not going to help me out because I already know that I'm going to be kicking my ass later if I don't do it, right? Hopefully, you get to that point where if you don't do the work you need to put in, right? You're going to feel bad. You're truly going to feel bad because you're worth more than that. Your future and your family that your future and your family are worth more than just you putting in the work, right? The people in your life are deserving of a different version of you that is better than the current version that exists right now. And the only way to, give those people in your life that mean a lot to you, the version of you that could be is, like I said, making those sacrifices and outworking. That's the only way. And if you have people that are worth having in your life, um, Yeah, like I said, they're going to be worth those moments of outworking and making the sacrifices. And you must also, with outworking, think bigger than yourself and think bigger than your current circumstance, because maybe sometimes you're not enough, truly, right? A lot of people don't recognize that, right? There's been plenty of moments that I've seen, right, where, trying to give motivation for my own self is, sometimes not enough. So a, you need to always create a why that is greater than yourself. And that is going to be also giving you the motivation and self discipline to constantly outwork these people, right? All right. I have a question. If you really don't put in the work, does that mean people will look at you at the same old person that give me a second, man. Yeah, everybody humans need change. Yeah. To answer that question, humans need change. If you don't put in the work, people are going to see that, right? They're going to talk about you in the same type of ways that they've been talking about you, right? Yeah, I think that's pretty much the way I would answer that question. Yeah, humans are meant for change, right? And the fact that people are even so resistant to change is honestly such a tragedy, quite frankly, because the human potential is something that is so great that most people never recognize truly, right? And this is something that I've seen time and time again, right? I've been inspired by a lot of different people that most people never, for whatever reason, seek inspiration, right? I'm a person who's always seeked inspiration because I recognized how beautiful the human potential is. And with that being said, I not only want to pursue that myself, but I want to get people on board with me to go ahead and pursue that beautiful human potential that we all have and deep within us, right? But most people are too distracted. Like I said, they're not willing to make the sacrifices. They're not willing to put in that internal work. They're not willing to give themselves the right mindsets. They're not willing to put the sacrifice and work in the gym, right? They're not willing to pursue their purpose the way that they need to, right? And you must do all these things, and you're going to be a better person for doing it. Like I said, the people that love you are going to thank you for being the best version of yourself. They deserve the best version of yourself. They do, right? And you can't tell me anything otherwise, right? That is why I do what I do, because I know the people that love me most, right? The people that I love most deserve that great version of champ that does exist. That does exist, right? So find a reason bigger than yourself, fellas. Find a reason bigger than yourself. Make sure you're putting more work in than you're putting in right now. Like I said, demand more from yourself, and also take responsibility and accountability for your life, because that is an absolute necessity in this life, right? If you don't hold yourself to that standard, then um, you're not living by something that is absolutely essential in this life, in my opinion, right? Which is part of the 30 champ commandments, all the things that I believe in, right? If you need some type of structure of things to believe in, and this podcast has definitely given you motivation to go ahead and make changes for your life, that is going to be another one that I would recommend for you to go ahead and watch, because that podcast is going to give you a strong foundation of things that are worth believing in, right? And you can also add to that if you would like. So yeah, it's not about motivation, it's about responsibility. Yes, it's not about motivation, it's about self-discipline, right? A lot of people are not willing to put in the time to have that self-discipline built up. They're just motivated. They get motivated. They put in the work after they get motivated, and little do they know the people that have the self-discipline are really the ones that outwork. They do it when they don't feel like doing it. The duty of a man is to do it when he doesn't feel like doing it. That's how you achieve the true human potential, is understanding your greatness is going to extend beyond it when you feel like doing it. Simple as that, right? Everybody who's been great at something has done the work even when they don't feel like doing it, because they know that it's an absolute necessity in order to get to the life that they want to live. It's an absolute necessity. There's no other way around it. There's no shortcuts in this life, right? There's no there's no shortcuts, man. There's no shortcuts. Recognize that you must outwork. You must outwork. Recognize that everybody else around you is either not putting in the work, or they're just putting in enough work to get by. Be better than that, because you are truly better than that. Make sure y'all working these motherfuckers. It's as simple as that, man. It's as simple as that. Like I said, man, come on now. Fellas, this is the most underrated podcast that exists right now. If you recognize, I want you to go ahead and look at the videos that I posted, right? Look at the quality of videos that I posted, right? Do you ever see a podcast that exists right now? Do you see a YouTube channel that exists right now that has as much meaningful content, that has less subscribers than I do? You're not going to find it. You're not going to find it. This is the most underrated podcast that exists right now. Now, I won't always be underrated, but I'm underrated right now, fellas. So that's as simple as that, right? Like I said, fellas, Takeover 23, you already know what time it is, right? Episode number 99, I will be hitting 100 next week. And one thing I want to discuss with you guys as well is I'm considering taking and it's kind of counterintuitive, but I'm going to say it. I'm considering taking a week break or a 2-week break from the podcast. I will still be doing all the work that I need to be putting in as well. I'm considering stopping for a week or maybe even 2 weeks, to try to make moves and try to put other things in play as well. Yeah, but like I said, episode number 100 coming up here soon, man. Fellas, you already know what time it is, man. You already know what time it is, man. We putting in the work, man. And we ain't just putting in the work, man. We outworking. Come on now. But yeah, that is what I'm considering doing, right? Episode like I said, episode number 99, man. Come on. This had to be a good one. Like I said, 100 definitely is going to be a good one for sure. I also wanted to say this. The season 1 of the Life of a Champ podcast is coming to an end here on Tuesday. Like I said, episode number 100. The end of season 1, fellas. We're getting into season 2. Like I said, Takeover 23, fellas. You already know what time it is, man. We get into it, man. We get into it, man. We see other people slowing down. That's perfect, man. That's perfect, man. It's okay, man. That's where we double down. That's where we outwork, man. It's okay. That is just the way we rock, man. That is just the way we rock. Come on now. All right. Like I said, I'll go ahead and leave some comments. I'm about to go ahead and end it off here soon. I've said everything that I pretty much needed to say on this podcast for today. But yeah, I want to know your guys' take. If anything that I said resonated with you, make sure you go ahead and leave in the comments. Whether you're watching this or whether you're watching this live, make sure you go ahead and leave in the comments for sure. Oh, I didn't see you on Twitch, man. My bad, my man. He said, hi, if you're still watching, say what's good, man. Say what's good on Twitch. We understand about the breaks, bro. We support you through this time and power moves. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate you being understanding for sure. I appreciate the understanding. Like I said, staying consistent, man. You staying consistent, man. Sometimes you need some breaks. And just understand when we come back from the break, man. No breaks. No breaks, man. Takeover 23, man. Simple as that. Like I said, I'm still gonna be posting like over like 40 videos a week. So it's really not a break, but it's a break. So just a break from the podcast. I'll probably be doing more live streams and things like that. So that is going to be something to look forward to. You're gonna see a different side of Champ, more relaxed side, more or less structured side, more of my personality. You'll see that within that as well. I'll probably be going live maybe about 3 times a week. That's what I'm thinking. Not a podcast, so not a podcast, just live streams that will be deleted after. So just chopping it up, man. Listening to some music, man. Putting into work, man. You already know what time it is, man. Come on. Exactly. Come on now. You already know what time it is, KJ. Those moments where you don't feel like doing it, man. That is the perfect time to do it. That is the perfect time to do it because most people are going to they're going to succumb to those feelings that say, man, I don't feel like doing it, man. I feel like laying in bed, man. Just understand that when you're deciding to get up in those moments, you're not only you're outworking those people. You're just outworking them, man. It's simple as that, man. Exactly. There you go. See, KJ is a person who he's watched most podcasts, if not all of them, and he's taken it and applied it to his life, right? Understand that if you take and apply these things to your life, you're going to thank me later. It's as simple as that. But like I said, most people just don't want to hear what's best for them, man. It's as simple as that. It's goofy. It exists, but it is what it is, man. Like I said, I hope you guys got some utility from this podcast, whether this is an inspiration or whether this is motivation that you got from this podcast, whatever it is. Hopefully you guys got some value from this podcast. And like I said, episode number 100 going to be this upcoming week, right? Episode number 100 on Tuesday. Looking forward to it for sure. I have some structure that I want for it as well. I just do want to be engaging with the people as well. Talking about the supporters, talking about the mindsets that it took to, eventually get to 100 podcasts, right? It's so crazy to say that, man. Just a little over a year ago, I was in the same position, man. I was like, well, let's start up this podcast, and I can't wait to hit episode number 100. That is one of the things that I'd definitely set out to do, and something that I'm about to do, man, which is definitely amazing for sure. But yeah, hell of a time, man. Hell of a ride. Let me tell you guys. Like I said, Takeover 23. It's okay, man. Most underrated podcast that exists, man. Simple as that. I can't say it enough, man. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. No problem, man. No problem, man. Like I said, man, I gotta help. I gotta help my people out, man. I gotta help them out. People need help right now. The people need help truly, and I definitely want to be one of the people that is at the very least doing what I can, right? Fulfilling my purpose, and also by fulfilling my purpose, inspiring, empowering, and educating the ones that are around me that want to hear the game, that will take it and apply it to their life, so they can live a life not only that is going to help them out, but also help everyone else around them out as well. That is my ultimate goal, man. That is the ultimate purpose. But other than that, fellas, I'm gonna go ahead and end it off. Like I said, I'll give y'all about 2 more minutes, and then I'll go ahead and end it off. But yeah, this was the Life of a Champ podcast, episode number 99, talking about working versus outworking. And obviously, on this podcast, you guys thoroughly know we outwork, man. We outwork. If you're watching this, make sure you outwork these motherfuckers, man. Like I said, I want to reiterate this one more time, right? Outworking is more than just a thing that you do. It's a way of life, right? Not only is it a way of life, it's putting in the internal work. It's creating and cultivating an undefeated mindset. It's putting in the work in the gym. It's putting in more work than most people in the gym. It's going to be putting in the work that you need to put in and also fulfilling your purpose, right? It's doing all these things, and that is how you truly know that you are actually outworking these people, because most people are not putting in the time. They're not putting in the thought to be doing these things. Most people are not doing that. And that is where you take advantage of those certain opportunities, right? To pass up the people that are, that are settling for less when they're worth more than that. You're worth more than what your current circumstance is, so therefore go ahead and prove it to yourself every single day. Put in more work. Put in the work that you want for the life that you truly want to live. Exactly, right? What life do you want to live in the future? Recognize that the only way you're going to be able to live that life is if you're willing to make the sacrifices right now. If you need to outwork the people when they have an average life and you don't. It's going to be because you outwork them, right? They don't even know. Most people don't even know what outworking even looks like. They just know what working is, or barely what working is, right? They don't even know what outworking is. Outworking is it's so deep. It is so much deeper than what people think it is. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end it off. I appreciate everyone stopping by. Like I said, if you're new here, make sure you go ahead and leave a follow if you're on Twitch. Also, make sure you go to subscribe if you're on YouTube, and also leave a like on this video. I'll leave you guys off with this. The podcast motto, man. Fellas out here, we don't just work, man. We outwork. So make sure y'all working these motherfuckers every single day. And it's as simple as that, man. Y'all have a good night. Like I said, episode number 100 on Tuesday, man. Look forward to it, man. You guys have a good rest of your day. And like I said, stay tuned for the 100th podcast. Episode number 100, man.